We plan on having some just to disco and Mealy episodes, and sometimes we'll have a guest. Though I realize now that if we did want to be anonymous, we could have just called you Mr. English and called me Mr. Math.
We sure could have. That would have been smart. No wonder we didn't think of it.
Yeah, I did think of it, just like not when beforehand.
I don't know. Mr. English, I feel like Johnny English, like
Yes.
It's a spy name.
Yes.
Mr. English, Mr. Math. This is like the setup to a Quentin Tarantino movie.
It could be, yes, that we could be, yes.
Yeah.
But then when we have our guests on, they would be Mr. History and Mr. Science and all that, except when we have math and English teachers on. It
Right.
would be really confusing as to which ones we were talking to.
I had a friend who, of course, lived in Woodstock, and she would only call people by their zodiac signs.
Nice.
And so I always wondered what would happen if you had more than one person, and it never came up in all of my time knowing her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have I told you about my algebra teacher that called everybody George?
No.
So my
What?
my 8th grade algebra teacher, he was 75, 80 years old. Mr. Spurger, I guess I can say his name. He is long gone on to the great classroom in the sky. So when we call it, but anyway.
That's definitely not it. He's teaching in a
Yes,
farm
yes.
upstate.
By the way, if
That's terrible.
If it's heaven, I don't believe it's a classroom. That's not true.
There are definitely no classrooms in heaven. That's like getting to heaven and finding out, here's your cubicle. No.
So anyway.
They're Montessori school up in the gated
Nice,
communities.
So, I never had this conversation with him, but at some point I guess he decided that he was no longer making an effort to learn students' names. I'm sure when he was a new teacher, he decided, he must have, but he decided at some point, I'm no longer learning students' names.
Bold.
I'm calling everybody George.
Male or female.
Male or female,
Just
yes.
like George Foreman, I'm just
Yes,
naming all of my
George.
children George.
And he was just like, what's the answer, George? And you're like, me? Who's he looking at? And you just do the old look behind you. Is he looking at me? Because he'd always make eye contact with you.
Right.
And then me, and he'd be like, yes, George, you. And you'd have to answer. So I've thought about adopting that practice. Surely that's something if you're listening to this and you're really, really bad with names and you want a solution, now you no longer have to
There
do that.
you go.
You can just call every kid George.